Do you know what actually makes a woman think about you nonstop? It's not your looks, it's not your money, and it's not even how many sweet words you say. Most men get this completely wrong. They chase, they overinvest, and then they wonder why she loses interest. But if you understand the psychology of attraction, you'll know how to flip the script and make her the one who can't stop thinking about you, even when you're not around. When it comes to relationships, attraction, and especially female psychology, one of the most misunderstood yet powerful principles is scarcity. You've probably heard the saying, we want what we can't have. But I need you to understand, it's not about playing silly games, disappearing for days, or pretending you're busy when you're not. It's about building an authentic lifestyle and mindset where your time, your energy, and your presence are genuinely valuable. Women are deeply intuitive. They can sense when you're faking it, but they can also sense when you are truly a man who values himself and therefore is not easily available to everyone. Scarcity is not about manipulation. It's about positioning yourself as a man of value, someone who has options, goals, and standards. And once a woman realizes that your presence is not something she can take for granted, her psychology automatically starts prioritizing you, thinking about you more, and even craving that next interaction with you. Think about it. Anything that is abundant, easily accessible, or predictable becomes boring very quickly. If you can buy it everywhere, if everyone has it, or if it's always available at the snap of your fingers, then the human mind devalues it. That's basic psychology. The same applies to relationships. If you are always at her call, always texting her first, always rearranging your schedule for her, you become like that product on the shelf that nobody fights for because it's always there. But when you become scarce, when your time is selective, when she doesn't know exactly what you're doing or when you'll reach out, her brain interprets that scarcity as high value. She starts associating your presence with something rare, something precious, and that's when she begins to think about you nonstop. Scarcity creates anticipation, and anticipation fuels attraction. Now, here's where most men sabotage themselves. They confuse scarcity with neglect. They think, if I just stop texting her, she'll value me more. Wrong. If you disappear without building emotional impact first, she won't miss you. She'll just forget you. Scarcity only creates value when there is already a connection. Imagine you go to a restaurant and they serve you the most delicious dish you've ever tasted, but then they tell you it's a special that only comes once a month. You'll crave it. You'll think about it and you'll come back for it. That's because it was valuable first and then it became scarce. But if the food was average and then they said it's rare, you wouldn't care. In the same way, your presence has to be impactful, your conversations meaningful, your energy memorable. Once that's established, your scarcity becomes powerful because now she has something worth missing. Women are emotional beings. Their attraction doesn't just come from looks or money. It comes from how a man makes them feel. And scarcity amplifies feelings. When you're not constantly in her space, she replays the moments you had together. She starts analyzing your words, your gestures, the way you made her laugh, the way you looked at her. Scarcity forces her brain to relive those experiences. And with every replay, the emotional bond strengthens in her mind. That's why women often obsess more over the man who didn't give them all of his attention than the one who showered them with it 24/7. The one who gave too much attention leaves no room for curiosity, no room for imagination, no room for longing. But the one who was scarce, he becomes unforgettable. Another layer to this is social proof. A man who is scarce communicates without words that he has other things going on. Maybe it's his career, his gym routine, his friends, his family, or even other women interested in him. Scarcity signals demand. If everyone wants it, if it's limited, if it's rare, then it must be worth more. That's how our brains are wired. Women pick up on this instantly. When you're not always available, she starts to wonder, what is he doing? Who is he with? Why isn't he chasing me like every other guy? That questioning builds a loop in her mind, and suddenly she's thinking about you even more than you're thinking about her. But let me warn you, scarcity without substance backfires. If you're scarce because you're lazy, broke, or sitting at home with nothing better to do, that's not value. That's just absence. Scarcity only creates value when it's backed by purpose. You must have a mission, a drive, a life that excites you. When a woman sees that your time is invested in growth, in your passions, in your goals, she respects your scarcity. She admires it. She wants to be part of it. And she starts competing for a place in your busy life. But if your scarcity is empty, she'll simply move on to a man who has both presence and purpose. Men who master scarcity never chase. They don't beg for validation. They don't need to prove themselves. And they don't constantly check in to see if she's still interested. Their value is self-evident and their scarcity reinforces it. Women are not attracted to men who are too accessible, too easy, or too desperate. They are drawn to men who know their worth, who have boundaries, and who protect their energy like it's gold. And the truth is, it is gold. Your time, your presence, your attention. These are the most valuable currencies you can offer. Give them to everyone and they become worthless. Give them selectively and they become priceless. When it comes to attraction, so many men obsess over saying the perfect line, sending the cleverest text, or memorizing some magical sentence that will make a woman fall for them. But let me expose a truth that most people never realize. Women don't remember every single word you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That's why emotional impact matters far more than words. The human brain processes emotions much more strongly than it processes language. Words can be forgotten in seconds, but emotions linger. They replay in the subconscious mind over and over, creating lasting impressions. This is why a woman may not recall the exact compliment you gave her last week, but she will never forget the way you looked at her when you said it, the confidence in your tone, and the warmth of the moment that made her heart race. If you pay close attention to female psychology, you'll notice that women are wired for emotional memory. Science even shows that the female brain is built with stronger connections in the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain. This means they are more tuned into feelings, atmospheres, and experiences rather than just logic and raw facts. Men, on the other hand, often approach attraction logically. They think, if I say this, then she'll react like that. If I text this, then she'll like me more. But women are not calculating your words the way you think. They are feeling the essence of your presence. They are feeling the energy you bring, the emotions you evoke, and the atmosphere you create around them. That's why two men can say the exact same words, yet only one of them leaves a lasting impact, because the difference wasn't the script, it was the emotion behind it. Think back to your own experiences. You probably don't remember every detail of your favorite childhood memory, but you can remember exactly how it made you feel. You might not recall every word of a teacher, a mentor, or a friend, but you remember the one who inspired you, who motivated you, who made you feel confident. That's the same psychology at play in attraction. A woman doesn't sit down and analyze a transcript transcript of your conversations. She thinks about the man who made her laugh until her stomach hurt, the man who made her feel safe when she was anxious, the man who made her feel seen when no one else was paying attention. That's what emotional impact means. It imprints you on her memory in a way words never could. This is why chasing validation through endless texting fails. Men will send message after message, pouring out words, explaining their feelings, and trying to convince a woman through logic. But if those words don't strike an emotional chord, they vanish into thin air. On the flip side, a man who says less but delivers more emotional resonance will dominate her thoughts. Maybe it's the way he teases her at the right moment, the way he pauses in silence and makes her anticipate his next move, or the way he creates a deep emotional high in a shared experience. Those moments embed themselves into her emotional memory, and she will replay them long after the actual words are gone. Now, how do you create emotional impact? First, it comes from authenticity. You cannot fake emotions and expect her to feel them. If you are nervous, insecure, or needy, she will pick up on it instantly, no matter how smooth your words are. But if you are confident, grounded, and intentional, she will feel that energy even if you speak very little. Second, emotional impact comes from contrast. Human beings feel emotions most strongly when there are ups and downs, highs and lows. If you are flat, predictable, and monotone, there is nothing memorable about you. But if you create moments of playfulness, moments of deep intensity, moments of curiosity, moments of warmth, those contrasts etch you into her mind. Third, emotional impact comes from being present. When you are fully focused on her, not distracted, not looking at your phone, not planning your next move, but truly locked in with her, she feels it. That presence makes her feel important, valued, and special, and that emotion is powerful. You also need to understand that negative emotions can be just as impactful as positive ones. Have you ever wondered why some women can't stop thinking about men who frustrate them, who challenge them, or even confuse them? It's because those men trigger emotional intensity. Now, I'm not saying you should deliberately hurt or manipulate, but I am saying that neutrality is the enemy of attraction. If she feels nothing around you, she forgets you. If she feels something, curiosity, excitement, admiration, even the slight frustration of not having full access to you, then you become unforgettable. Emotional impact means leaving an imprint, whether that's through joy, tension, or passion. Another important point is that emotional impact is not just in what you say, but in how you say it. Tone, pace, body language, eye contact, these amplify your words and give them emotional weight. A simple sentence like, "I missed you," can be said in a flat tone and mean nothing, or it can be said with deep presence, eye contact, and a pause that makes her feel every bit of sincerity. Women are incredibly sensitive to subcommunication. They notice the little details, the micro expressions, the shifts in energy. That's why you must focus less on memorizing lines and more on mastering your emotional presence. And finally, emotional impact matters because it creates anchors in her subconscious mind. When you make her laugh, her brain associates you with joy. When you inspire her, her brain associates you with confidence. When you calm her, her brain associates you with safety. These anchors replay in her mind when you're not around. She may be at work with her friends or lying in bed at night, and suddenly she remembers the feeling you gave her. That's the secret behind why some men linger in a woman's thoughts long after the interaction is over. It's not the words, it's the emotions tied to them. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships and attraction is chasing. The moment they like a woman, they pour all their energy into running after her, texting her nonstop, rearranging their lives for her, and constantly proving how interested they are. But here's the truth: what is given too easily is rarely respected. In female psychology, a man who chases communicates one clear message: I need you more than you need me. That imbalance of power kills attraction because it removes the challenge. Women are not drawn to men who beg for attention. They are drawn to men who hold their own value so strongly that she has to work for his approval, his presence, and his affection. Being a challenge is not about being cold or arrogant. It's about positioning yourself as a prize, not a pursuer. You must understand that women are naturally wired to test. They test for strength, for boundaries, for confidence. When you chase, you fail the test immediately because you show that you are willing to compromise your self-respect just to gain her attention. When you become the challenge instead, she feels the pull of curiosity. She starts asking herself, why isn't he chasing me like every other guy? What does he have going on in his life that makes him so secure? Why do I feel the need to prove myself to him? That internal dialogue keeps you on her mind far more than endless chasing ever could. The challenge shifts the dynamic. You stop trying to win her over, and she starts trying to win you over. Chasing often comes from insecurity. Many men don't believe they are good enough as they are, so they think they need to compensate by showing extra effort. They overcompensate with compliments, gifts, attention, and constant availability, hoping to buy attraction with effort. But in reality, the harder you chase, the further she runs. That's because chasing removes the thrill. Imagine a game where you win the prize instantly without lifting a finger. It's not satisfying. Human beings, and especially women in relationships, value what they earn. If you don't require her to invest, if you don't require her to step up, she won't see your value. She may enjoy the attention temporarily, but she won't feel attraction because attraction is not born from ease. It's born from challenge. When you position yourself as a challenge, you activate a woman's natural desire for pursuit. Women may say they want a man who adores them, who spoils them, who gives them everything, but in practice, they lose interest in men who hand themselves over without standards. What truly captivates them is a man who knows his worth and sets the bar high. That doesn't mean playing games or withholding affection. It means having boundaries, not tolerating disrespect, and expecting effort in return. If she cancels on you at the last minute and you immediately reschedule and beg for her time, you are chasing. If she cancels and you calmly say, "That's fine, I'm busy too, maybe another time," you are the challenge. The difference is subtle, but the psychology is powerful. She now sees that your world doesn't revolve around her, and that realization makes her invest more to earn her place in your life. Being the challenge also means not revealing everything at once. Mystery is magnetic. If you put your whole life story, all your feelings, and all your attention on the table too soon, she has nothing left to discover. When she doesn't have to work to get to know you, she loses the motivation to keep engaging. But when you hold back, when you reveal yourself layer by layer, when you make her feel like there is more beneath the surface, she is compelled to keep coming back. She becomes invested in uncovering the depth of who you are, and that investment creates attachment. The challenge is not about withholding to manipulate. It's about living such a full, grounded life that there will always be more of you to discover. Another important aspect of being a challenge is self-control. The man who chases cannot control his impulses. The moment she gives a little attention, he floods her with energy. But the man who is a challenge knows how to regulate himself. He doesn't rush to reply within seconds just to prove his interest. He doesn't need to check in every hour to make sure she's still there. He doesn't blow up her phone after one good date. His restraint speaks volumes. It says, I am disciplined, I am secure, I am not desperate. And that restraint forces her to think about him more. She starts wondering when he'll text, what he's doing, if he's thinking about her. That wondering is the essence of attraction. It's the mental space that chasing destroys. When you stop chasing and start being the challenge, you also create an environment where mutual respect grows. Women do not respect men who are too easy to get. They may enjoy the validation, but respect only comes when she feels she had to earn something valuable. Respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. Without it, desire dies. By holding your ground, by requiring effort, and by not folding at the first sign of her attention, you establish yourself as a man who is respected. And once respect is there, attraction follows naturally. Finally, remember this. Being a challenge is not about punishing her or playing hard to get. It's about truly valuing yourself. When you value your time, your energy, your goals, you automatically become scarce, selective, and high value. You stop running after women because you know you have too much going for you to waste energy on chasing. That shift in mindset transforms the entire dynamic. Instead of you chasing her, she feels compelled to chase you. Instead of you trying to prove your worth, she tries to prove hers. And that is the psychology that makes a woman think about you non-stop. One of the most